The emotions I felt watching this movie, it is just giving me goosebumps. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So, in case you don't know, LISABI Part 2, A Legend is Born, is now on Netflix. I made an anticipation video about it, and yes, so we have the final part. After this part 2, there's no part 3, and it is now on Netflix. So, the link to LISABI A Legend is Born is in the description box below. So you click on it and it takes you directly to Netflix. But before then, I need you to know this about this movie. So get ready to know this about this movie. I started seeing this movie alone, but then I'm in this staycation, and my friend, I just met her, saw what was going on, and she joined in towards the ending of this movie. So this movie talks about LISABI. It gives us a backstory to the name LISABI. Remember part 1, we were all wondering, this man is just a humble farmer. We see how he was farming, but we now see him having so much powers. We asked ourselves a lot of questions, how he got those powers. Well, part 2 answered a lot of questions that we had in our mind. So the first scene of this movie, I loved this first scene of this movie so much. It was giving me get ready to be wowed. So I'm a scriptwriter, and I love when a fellow scriptwriter takes time to create a first scene that would gear us towards the movie, especially depending on the genre, because you write differently for different genre. So it's an action and a suspense filled movie with trailer. So I was expecting a very, very engaging part 1, and I loved how they were able to show us the beginning, plus going to show us a bit of how the uprising went, so that if people that have not seen part 1 could see, they will definitely understand. In this part 2, you get to see more actors. Introduction of more actors were made, which was very cool. And the best one of the actors that I was so excited about was Deyemi Akalao. Oh my god, when I saw Deyemi remove this thing he was wearing, I screamed. I was like, oh my god, is that not Deyemi? So in this part 2, we get to also see other people coming up from within, have hatred towards LISABI, and it will make you ask so many questions about life, because honestly speaking, it was very, very relatable. LISABI literally helped these people when they didn't have a voice. It gave them a voice. But now, from people that he raised to be warriors to fight against the Oyo Empire and everything, we see them hating on him because they just feel jealous because people were giving a lot of accolades to LISABI. LISABI pulled everything off with his godlike friends. They did some things, but if not because of LISABI, those people would have not even survived after the whole war and uprising. There's this subtleness to part 2 that I really, really embrace, and I'm very, very appreciative of it. The thing is that the main action was part 1, the uprising and everything. We had a bit of fight scene in part 2, not a bit. We had a really, really serious fight scene in part 2, but the major everything happened in the uprising. Uprising was like the first stage. So I love how the director was able to add a bit of subtleness to this part 2. It was a little bit toned down. The sound effect, they retained the sound effects that they used, the echoey sound effect to represent a godlike person that LISABI is, or to represent authority whenever something very, very powerful was spoken. I love how they retained that effect, but there was still a subtleness to it. So we get to see the subtleness. Even in the VFX, there were a bit of subtleness to it. So it was not, everything was not as exaggerated as part 1. it's a story actually. It's a story about what happened after the uprising. So we get to see more of storytelling of LISABI, the past LISABI, his current stage, his drive, his passion, and his next action. So I love how they softness. So the team and the feel went well with the story, and I was really, really appreciative. And one thing I love about Ant Hills is their production quality, in this their post-production quality. When you have a movie post-produced by Ant Hills, you are sure to have the best of the best. The cut was very, very clean. There were no hiccups, there were no gaps. It was seamless and easy. It felt like a dance that was very, very easy for us to watch, and I really, really enjoyed the cut and everything. The movie is just 1 hour 30 minutes, so I was very excited that they didn't give us 2 hours with unnecessary scene. They gave us 1 hour 30 minutes with preciseness and straight to the point, which was very, 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 very good, and I was so happy about it. Perfection is you continuously doing something until you hit the perfection. There was this scene in Lisabi Part 2 where I don't want to give you so much spoiler, but there was this bird that flew from a river. Guys, that scene was made of animation, but I watch a lot of Antil's movies, so I've seen a lot of their animated clips, and I've seen animated things they have done fly. But seeing that bird fly, it felt the most realistic form of animation I've ever seen coming from Antil Studio as a bird. I would lie. So it made me realize that even though we haven't gotten the animation right in Nigeria, there's still growth, because that bird, it looks so beautiful. I know it was animated, but it was not cringe. It felt so blended into the picture. So we had this scene where these warriors had to transform again to an animal beast-like creature. And we had seen something like that in part one that we all cringed about. But the difference between this transformation and the one we saw in part one was that this one felt more motion like we could literally see some movement. It wasn't really didn't really feel part of the movie, and obviously will make you cringe. But I would like to compare it to the previous part one. I assume that as this studio keep doing this animation, it gets better, and they get better resources to do it, we'll get better animation. So that's my personal take on the animation part, because you keep trying until you make it perfect. My favorite part of this movie, actually, there are two favorite parts of this movie. The first one was a scene where we get to see Lisabi backstory. We get to meet Lisabi's mother. So she did something that every mother would do. She fought for her child. That scene was very, very emotional, and she did these prayers for her child, and she totally believed that even if what was going to happen next would have a negative effect on the child, but she was leaving the child with a huge form of protection that would protect that child. Then the other scene I loved the most was also an emotional scene, was when something very deep happened to Lisabi. I'm telling you, no spoilers. Something very deep happened to him that questioned his entire existence in the human world, because he's like, why would I give so much to these people and they repay me with this much evil? I loved that part so much. The way he cried, the way he held on to that entity that he felt was like his identity at that point, as if he didn't want it to just disappear. And I'll talk about the actor, Mr. Latif. Mr. Latif is a beautiful actor. I love his acting. I love how he's able to drive emotion and power to his words and his body movement and everything. So my friend was like, she didn't like the ending because she wanted more. And I reminded her that it's actually a biography. Yes, actually a biography of, is it an autobiography? Sorry, please correct me in the comment section. One of it. And it's for someone that has lived. I've thought that I do want to write that he lived happily ever after. When the guy did not live happily ever after. But she wanted more. For her to actually crave more, it showed that she was really, really excited about the movie and she was really, really shocked. But I told her that this happened to someone and life is unpredictable. So this is the kind of ending they had to give it, and she understood very well. So my rating of this movie is a 9 out of 10. The 9 out of 10, the remaining one is inside my pocket because this is New Year. So this is my first video for the year 2025. So at least let me have one, please. And welcome to 2025 Nollywood industry, a year where we make blockbuster movie that will cause tremendous change in the whole wide world. A year where we tell our own stories the way we want to tell it. We are not confirmed by what people say around us. We tell stories that really have true and core values to us as Nigerians. My name is Ajaja, and thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, drop a comment about the movie LISABI, A Legend is Born. A Legend is Born, and also share this video to every Nollywood lover out there. And this is me signing out. Peace out. Bye.
Ó ṣe jẹ́ LISABI nìkan lẹ́ ń kí torí kì í ṣe LISABI nìkan ló jagun.